Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm doing my broadcasting in English because I want to convey main ideas how South Korea should deal with all the uncertainties surrounding the Korean Peninsula to the Korean citizens living abroad today. Some requests from citizens, living abroad. So today I'd like to mention Scott Snyder's analysis, who is working on Council on Foreign Relations. Especially, he recently wrote on the title of "Why is North Korea turning more aggressive?" Why is North Korea turning more aggressive? As everybody understands, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un recently shut down agencies working for unification with South Korea and seems to be ratcheting up bellicose rhetoric and activities. It means that South Korea faces more uncertainties as North Korea is turning more aggressive in its foreign policies, possibly thinking about possibilities of military provocations. And Kim Jong-un's policies towards South Korea have become more confrontational following a year-end party plenary meeting. Kim Jong-un has since abandoned the country's decade-long pursuit of peaceful unification with South Korea and designated the South as North Korea's principal enemy and destroyed a monument to Korean unification located on the outskirts of Pyongyang. All these kind of signals means that for the time being in the future, Kim Jong-un's military provocations could be possible in any ways, either on the Western Sea or either along the military demarcation line, like that. And this kind of new symptoms, I think, reflect the emergence of an escalatory dynamic between the two Koreas following North Korea's successful satellite launch last November and a shift in the North Korean leadership's mindset. And domestically, I think Kim Jong-un has concluded that any kind of a military cooperation with Russia and possibly with People's Republic of China will help to create more rooms for Kim Jong-un's regime sustainability for the time being. So in this respect, Kim will likely be more militant and aggressive to the extent that he perceives greater room for maneuver as he pursues provocations, especially aimed at South Korea with relative impunity. And Kim's long-standing strategic objective remains the removal of U.S. forces from the Korean Peninsula and the achievement of a North Korea-led unification of the peninsula. Still, he has not abandoned that kind of unification logic, unification by North Korean communist formula. So, South Korean government has been responding to the latest round of actions and rhetoric from the North Korea, usually tit-of-tat basis, sometimes responding almost with the same level of word and hostilities. And the recent very hawkish remarks by Kim Jong-un means that North Korea has sufficient fissile material to deploy around 50 to 70 nuclear weapons. This is very important, that they are utilizing nuclear weapons. In addition, the range and accuracy of North Korea's nuclear delivery capabilities have improved. and its inventory has expanded to include that both tactical and strategic nuclear weapons and delivery systems. They have been improving their capabilities. North Korea has also codified its nuclear status and stated that it would consider nuclear use as a preemptive response to any perceived threat to the Kim Jong-un's dictatorship regime. This is very important. And as we understand that the international sanctions against Pyongyang has not working effectively due to the China's and Russia's uncooperative attitude to protect the dictatorship. So as of now, almost a dozen UN Security Council resolutions regarding North Korea's nuclear and missile development remain on the books. It has not been effective, but it has been impossible to gain a consensus among the Security Council members on any new punishment for North Korean violations of existing resolutions. As I mentioned, primarily due to China's and Russia's opposition. As we all understand, the two countries which have been long-standing ties with North Korea have argued since 2020 that existing sanctions have outlived their purpose. They have not enforced or have been actively floated existing resolutions while managing their respective trade relations with North Korea. And the UN panel of experts tasked with monitoring the implementation of existing resolutions has found itself increasingly paralyzed in its ability to investigate and recommend additional enforcement actions, according to the analysis of Scott Snyder in his paper, I think. So the recent extended military relationship with Russia has been creating more rooms for North Korean Kim Jong-un regime. Also, the Russia, North Korea, China trilateral traditional security alliance system has been more enforced, as South Korea, Japan, and Washington trilateral framework have been more strengthened nowadays due to North Korea's nuclear threat and China's more hawkish military attitude in the Taiwan Strait, and also South China Sea tensions nowadays emerging. So anyway, it is true that the current uncertainties happening around the Korean Peninsula, especially since the Russian invasion into Ukraine, and it has been true that North Korea would benefit from Russian provision of military-related technologies to enhance its artillery, aviation, missile, and nuclear capabilities, as well as cash, food, and fuel from Moscow. So I think it is right time for Seoul, Washington, Tokyo. We need more to ramp up their presence, our presence, to deter new provocative steps from North Korea. So it is very, I think, urgent for those three partners, to monitor more closely and also to prepare in advance against any possible military provocations to be made by Kim Jong-un regime. Moreover, as Scott Snyder concluded that the Camp David summit among the United States, Japan, and South Korea has enabled close trilateral cooperation on North Korea-related and regional issues. And the reasons, as you understand the problems there, the emergence of opposing US, Japan, South Korea, and China, North Korea, Russia coalitions, confrontational coalitions around the Korean Peninsula, create more confrontational atmospheres. And probably, as security experts analyze the problems around the Korean Peninsula, these kind of confrontational moves heightened the risks of a peninsular confrontation, also diminishing the prospect for effective diplomacy involving North Korea, despite the obvious need for communication to reduce the likelihood of accidental conflict and to effectively manage such a conflict if it arises. So I'm much more worried about accidental conflict, even though we are managing all the computer programs and all the nuclear related programs with computer machines. There is a little possibility of accidental conflict by mistakes. So as these kinds of tension-ridden regions are creating more confrontational moves, especially in Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, also on the Korean Peninsula, the international military confrontational mood, as I mentioned just before, centering around, United States, Japan, South Korean trilateral traditional security alliance system against Russia, North Korea, Communist China's military cooperation. This kind of new Cold War structures in East Asia is creating much more uncertainties in the future. This is what I am much more worried about. Today, I commented in English because sometimes I think that more Korean citizens living abroad could hear what's going on the Korean Peninsula and what are the major concerns of domestic scholars, especially studying security issues and unification issues on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you. Today, let me finish my broadcast.